How's it going, everybody? Ryan here with another album review. Today I'm taking a look at Braver Than We Are, which is the 13th album from rock legend Meat Loaf. Going into this album, I was rather intrigued since I absolutely love songs like Bat Out of Hell and Paradise by the Dashboard Light, but I haven't really checked out a lot of Meat Loaf's newer albums, so I was quite interested to see how Meat Loaf sounds and performs nowadays. And time hasn't really been too kind to his voice. You can tell by listening to this album that he just can't hit those high notes anymore, and unfortunately, it makes it sound like there's less emotion in his singing nowadays. With that being said, this album does have some enjoyable points, and on some songs, Meat Loaf really takes some risks for the style and type of music that he's playing. The album unfortunately begins with the song Who Needs the Young, which is by far the worst song on the album. It seems to be a weird mix of jazz and carnival music. It's all over the place, plus Meat Loaf's vocals are honestly pretty bad in this song. It made me quite afraid to listen to the rest of the album. Thankfully, the rest of the songs were better than this one. The next song is Going All the Way Is Just the Start, a song in 6 movements, which is a typical epic long power ballad that Meat Loaf is known for and usually excels in. And although the song itself is pretty good, the vocals again don't really hold up, and due to this, the majority of the song is led by guest female singers, a trend which tends to continue throughout most of the album. Overall, it's not a bad song, it just would have been a really great song had it been released in the 80s or the 90s. Following that is another ballad with Speaking in Tongues, however this one tends to be quite boring and uninteresting. Up next is Loving You's a Dirty Job, but Somebody's Gotta Do It, which is better than the previous songs, but again the female vocals take the lead. Souvenirs is the next song. It starts off pretty boring, but with the inclusion of a pretty awesome saxophone solo, the song does get quite better, and by the end of the 8-minute song, you do feel much better about the album than you did before. However, the next song, Only Way I Feel, features some of Meat Loaf's weakest vocals on the album, which is a shame since there are some pretty good and deep lyrics in the song. It's at this point, though, that the album takes a completely different turn, beginning with the song More, which is a heavy rock song with a significant influence from industrial rock. It almost feels like something from 9 Inch Nails. And honestly, with Meat Loaf's lower vocal range, the style of song works quite well. It's strange, it's different, it's not what I expected from Meat Loaf, but I really like it. By far my favorite song on the album. Gods is the next song, which starts off pretty well. It's a strange sounding song with Meat Loaf mostly singing over the drum beat, but his vocals aren't that bad on this track. It also transitions quite well into the next song, Skull of Your Country, which is another slower duet, but this one works quite better than some of the other songs on the album. The album ends with Train of Love, which is very upbeat. It's a decent way to end off the album. Overall, Braver Than We Are was a bit disappointing for myself as I'm a big fan of Meat Loaf, and it's kind of sad to hear him perform this week on some songs. However, the second half of this album really did improve the album for myself. I quite enjoyed the way Meat Loaf explored some different genres and styles of music, some of which I think worked quite well. And since I did enjoy the album more as it went on, and I do like how Meat Loaf was willing to take some risks on some songs, I'm gonna give Braver Than We Are a 6 out of 10. Now if you want to check out more reviews like this one, please feel free to subscribe. Cheers!